Hey everyone, welcome to Bride of Chickenstein. It's probably been 3 years since I've done one of these. Joined by someone that is not Clinton, but just as great. And I'll have you introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Maya Zakeli, and I am a silly person that knows Owen. And I will be here to talk for some stuff. I don't know.
It'll probably be like last time, we just talked about random things, but we decided to talk some animal stories because we both love the animals.
Right, you work as an animal shelter or
I work
veterinarian?
at a veterinarian's office. I'm a vet assistant.
Very cool. So you must have a lot of animal stories, I'm guessing.
I have some work-related stories, but most of these are from my childhood, actually. So you want me to go first?
Yes.
Alright, I'll give you a choice. A horse story, a cat story, a dog story, or a bird story.
That's a tough decision because I like all of them. Let's start with the horse story.
Okay, I have 2 different horse stories. I don't come in contact with horses a lot because I might be allergic to them. I'm not positive. I remember riding on one and I broke out, like my eyes swelled shut and stuff. It could have been something else, but I just associated it with horses.
Yeah, that's not something you'd want to risk happening again, I'm guessing.
So these are both from my childhood. Both involve my neighbor's horses. My parents had like 10 acres, and they allowed the neighbor to put horses on like half of it.
To eat the grass, or?
Yeah. My dad likes to keep the fields trim, so he let the horses just do most of the work. I'll tell the one that sort of involves me, but mostly involves someone I was friends with as a kid. The neighbor used to have 3 horses, like 2 riding ones, and then this kind of, not miniature, but it was a smaller horse that, nobody rid. In the corner, there was a rock and a tree, and we'd used to get the horses to come over, and we'd feed them, carrots and things like that. This little one would just stand there, so my sister and I would get on it, and it would just sit there. It didn't ever do anything. We just sat on it, and we'd just get off it. It didn't move or anything. So I had made a new friend. His name was Jason. He was like a cousin of a cousin. We've always known each other, but we never really hung out.
Mm-hmm.
So I hung out at his house one day, and then I said, next time come to my house. You did your normal 90s stuff, the old Nintendo and watching VHS. And I said, hey, let's check out the horses. And I was telling him about how we'd sit on this horse. So we got the horse to come over by the rock, and he gets on it, and out of nowhere, the horse took off. Full speed.
Oh, wow.
And he's holding on to the horse's mane. And this thing is just booking it. Like, I've never seen this thing move faster.
Were you both on the horse or just your friend?
Just him.
Oh.
And it ran across the field, and as it started coming back, it was running along the fence next to the road. And there's like a long straightaway, and there's kind of a corner. And around that corner comes a vehicle. And they were going about the same speed. Well, by the time the horse got back to where I was, and it actually stopped, and he got off, we turned around, and his mom and my mom were standing there. And that vehicle was his mother.
Oh. I'm guessing you got in trouble?
I did not. My mom didn't. I mean, because the horse had never done that before, so she didn't really blame me. But he was never allowed to come over again.
Oh, that sucks. Although I guess he was pretty terrified, maybe.
No, he thought it was great. That was the last time we ever hung out. We didn't become friends.
Oh. Well, at least he'll always remember you because of that. I had a similar experience. Not really, but my friend did riding. I didn't. Her family rented summer horses, if that's a thing anywhere else. I don't know. They did that anyway, and so they had also a trainer with them that would lead. They had like a lead horse, and then the other horses just followed the lead horse. And I got invited to come along, and I said I didn't know how to ride or anything. They said, oh, it's fine, because all the horses just do whatever the lead horse does. So we'll just ride in the woods and come back. everything was fine, but then once we started going into the woods, the horse I was on just took off on its own, ran past all the others. I had no clue what was going on because I didn't know how to do any commands. I could hear the leader person, the trainer, calling, was like, make him stop. And I didn't know what to do. So he just ran right into the woods. And I was having a blast because I was like, I don't know if you know of Ronja Rådjursdottir, a children's book about this wild child that is riding wild horses and stuff. And I was pretending like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to live in the woods together with this horse and have adventures. But eventually it stopped because it wanted to eat some pine stuff. And the others caught up with me and I got in trouble. And I was like, why didn't you listen to me? Why didn't you stop him? But I didn't know how to stop him because I didn't know how to ride. I was still pretty happy with that experience, even though that was also the last time allowed on the horse.
Sounds like the instructor's fault. They didn't tell you how to stop the horse.
No, they told me how to get on, but apparently it was supposed to be in their instinct that they would just follow the lead horse and not go off on their own. So I don't know. I hope I didn't scare it or anything, but it seemed like it was mostly doing it for fun.
My other one was probably my last experience with a horse for a reason. So the same neighbor, he got rid of the other 3 horses, and he just had this young one. It grew up from a pony to, a young adult horse, but they never trained it. They never rode on it. It wasn't trained at all.
Mm.
Usually I would kind of just avoid it, but if you went into the fence, it would follow you. And it's done it 100 times, because I used to go, when I was younger, there was a pond in the area, and I'd go in the fence and go catch frogs and play in the water. And, the horse would just kind of follow me and hang out. But when cars drove by, the horse would freak out and he would buck and just go crazy. So I usually tried to just avoid it. And at this point, I thought, I might have been allergic to horses. Even though, now I think about it, I sat on that other one all the time. But I know I went over to my cousin's house and rode a horse. It could have just been mosquitoes bit the crap out of me, because I swell up pretty good with mosquito bites. But usually
maybe not. They're like dogs with that. Some of them are hypoallergenic or something.
Maybe. I don't know much about horses. I don't really know much.
Yeah. Me neither.
I get in the fence, and I had my little beagle back then. I think it was Emma was her name. And she was following me, and the horse came up behind us and was following us. And I just usually, took it slow. I didn't want to spook it, but a car drives by. Horse goes up on its back legs, comes straight down on top of my head with its front hooves, knocks me silly into the electric fence where I get zapped. I'm then scrambling to get out of the fence, not really knowing what's going on. And I just kind of was just crying there, and the dog's licking my face. And eventually I got myself together and got back to the house. It didn't cut me at all. I didn't really, it hurt, but I don't think I got a concussion, but maybe I did. Who knows? I just ended up scrambling back to the house afterwards.
Sounds pretty traumatic, though.
Yeah, I don't trust horses now.
Yeah, they are pretty unpredictable, it seems.
I like to blame my bad memory on it. Or I can't remember names of things a lot. I'm like, that damn horse.
My only other horse story was probably when I volunteered for the 4-H kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was mostly around the ducks for some reason, cleaning up and stuff. But then someone was leading a horse through the yard. I don't know exactly how it happened, but it was one of those really huge Clydesdales, I think they're called, with the hairy feet.
Yep.
And it just stepped right on my foot and refused to move. The weird part was I didn't feel it when it happened, so I tried to keep on walking, but I couldn't because my foot was stuck under the horse. This was a super long time ago, so I don't really remember. I might have been 10 or something. But I did lose, one of my nails fell off from the foot after. Someone said he weighed half a truck or something.
Yeah, those things are big. They're bigger than the normal riding horse.
Yeah, it was just so strange because it was just walking, and then all of a sudden just oh, I stood on someone's foot. I better not move at all for 5 minutes.
Yeah, those horses are pretty famous now because of Budweiser, the Budweiser horses.
They are very pretty, though. I really like horses, the way they look. I guess I like the idea of them, but I've never really had that kind of connection that a lot of people have with horses.
I just have two small bird stories. I vaguely remember these. My grandparents, when I was really young, used to have a goose. It was freaking evil. It would get out and it would attack the children when they were outside.
Geese are scary. They have those little teeth, too.
And it would run at you with its, wings open, just hissing and honking, and it would chase you right in the door, and then it would stand outside the door and stare at you. I only remember it for a little while, so I think they must have cooked it up.
We used to feed wild geese at the local lake. That was a lot of fun, except when you ran out of bread, they start getting aggressive, and I remember the feeling of like, yay, this is so much fun, and then you noticed how the bag was getting more and more empty, and then like dread building up. They're gonna eat me now. Somehow I survived.
Yeah, I don't trust them. I don't mind them flying over Canadian geese when they're heading south. You can hear them all honking. They should be coming back soon when spring hits, but it's about as close as I want to get to them.
Was there more to that one? Otherwise, I want to hear the other bird story.
No, that was it. Just a little memory I had as a kid. The other one involves what we call a ruffed grouse. I don't know if you know what those are.
Not sure. Are those that kind of look like hen animals, or I don't know what it's called?
A little bit.
Like chickens?
A little bit. They're wild birds, popular for hunting. They're pretty fat. They blend in really well with the environment too, but I just remember I was with my grandfather and we were driving and one flew out and it hit the windshield on my side and the windshield just cracked. Like it hit so hard.
Oh, wow.
It scared the crap out of me. It scared the crap out of my grandfather too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm lucky enough to never had to experience hitting an animal. I think that would be scary.
I've hit a couple. I hit a moose just last year and messed my truck up pretty bad.
Yeah, that can cause a lot of damage.
You don't have any more bird stories?
Oh, I do have one bird story. My mom used to be really into birds before I was born. I think she had 15 at the most at the same time. From as far as I can remember, she only had 4. And it was 2 parrots and 2 little lovebirds. They're small and like little chubby looking, red cheeks. But they were very cute, but they were also very loud. But the funny part was the parrot, the younger parrot, he had learned some phrases and nobody taught him. He just picked it up on his own. And that was the funny part because it was, he was quoting my mom and my brother. So he'd be like, Frederick, what are you doing in there? And then he'd pause for a while and then he'd be like, nothing, stop asking. And so you would just hear the parrot acting out my mom and my brother yelling at each other. So it was very awkward for them when strangers came in the house and the parrot would just start imitating them. It became like a family joke. I really like the parrot. He only got to be 7 years, so he was born with only one functioning leg and he couldn't fly. So he kind of had to drag himself forward wherever he wanted to go. Was very handicapped because of it. And then once he turned 7, his other leg just stopped working. So he couldn't move at all except for like rolling. And so my mom felt bad for him and took him to the vet, which was very sad. I do have some good memories with that bird.
We don't deal with birds too much out to work. Sometimes they board when the people go out of town, but so far every parrot and type bird has come in. They've all been mean, so I do bare minimum with them because they'll bite you. Yeah,
her parrots were very possessive too. Like they liked some family members, and of course they loved her. But if somebody else came up to her, they could get jealous and start biting that person or things like that.
I used to have a girlfriend that had some parakeets, but they didn't do anything but make a lot of noise.
Yeah, that's why my father didn't like them either. So she hasn't had birds since I was, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years old. Oh yeah, I have another story with her and her birds. Was when she and her younger sister went to the cinema. They watched Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Her sister was terrified after and was all like, I don't want to go near your birds anymore. And then when they come home, my mom took one of her birds out and started cuddling it. Since her sister was so freaked out about the movie and stuff, she started screaming because it did a sudden movement or something. I don't remember. And then the bird flew over to her, trying to make her quiet, and started like picking at her, which only made it worse. And then she started flailing her arms and stuff. The parrot was like, I can't, I have to hold on. So he just stuck his claws in her and kept pecking. And it was very, very chaotic. Somehow, I don't know exactly how it ended, but I know my aunt never wanted to go near my mom's birds anymore after that.
That kind of reminds me of a story my dad told me. Not bird related, but dog related. He's not really into horror movies. He watches westerns all the time. Apparently when he was younger, he went and saw The Exorcist. Freaked him out. He got home and he was in bed, and all of a sudden his bed started shaking. Of course, it freaked him out, and it ended up being the dog was under his bed itching itself.
Yeah, I'd probably be pretty scared if that happened too. I've actually never seen The Exorcist. I'm very easily freaked out by stuff happening unexpectedly.
So I guess that could segue right into dog stories.
I have a lot of those. Probably not all that interesting.
I have one interesting one. One, maybe interesting. They're both work related.
Tell.
So one I dub the balloon dog.
That sounds interesting.
This was like pretty much when I first started out there, so I didn't know a lot. There was this, I want to say chocolate lab. It's been a while. It was some type of lab, and it was running, I guess, with a stick in its mouth, and it ended up poking a hole in its esophagus, but not in its skin. So when it would breathe, the air would come out and it would go under the skin. The dog looked fine when I got there, and, they were telling me what was going on. And, I went ahead and was working and keeping an eye on it. And all of a sudden I just heard this thud. And I come back and the dog is on its back, feet in the air. I thought it was dead. And it was blown up like a balloon.
Oh, that sounds scary.
And of course they didn't warn me about this or what to do in the situation. So at that time, one of the doctors only lived like 5 minutes away. So she came in and we had to put these, the biggest needles we had, put it in, and we had to squeeze all the air out of the dog.
Oh my gosh. Did it make it?
As far as I know, it did. I mean, it survived the night. But basically, we squeezed all the air out so it looked like a normal dog again. And once we did that, the dog, was back to being happy and breathing well. And I had to do that again later that night. But I always called it the cartoon balloon dog.
I didn't even know that was possible.
I didn't either. Their skin, I guess, can stretch quite a bit, but it literally looked like, a cartoon where the dog blows on its thumb and blows itself up like a balloon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It freaked me out. I thought it was dead when I saw it. No, it just had a lot of air under its skin.
It's so scary. That's cool that you were able to help out, though.
It's probably just one of those things that just had to heal over time, and hopefully it didn't blow up again. That's actually, I wouldn't call it common, but I've never seen another dog blow up like a balloon, but I have seen several dogs come in who have been running with a stick and, jams it and puts a hole in its throat, so.
Ouch. I'll have to be more careful when my dogs play with sticks.
Yeah, if they hold them crossways, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, they do. Well, only one of them plays with sticks anyway.
I've always wanted a dog that would fetch and stuff, but I've never had one. I remember one of my cousins had a dog that loved fetch, and they were all kind of older and moved away, so there's, the dog was just always there by itself. So I'd go over to my grandparents and I would bike down and just play with the dog for a couple hours.
Yeah, my childhood dog, she was very dignified. I'd always imagine her like one of those fancy ladies because she would never get her paws wet. She was just very proud looking. But sometimes, once a year, she'd get really into grabbing sticks and wanting you to throw them. And I loved when that happened because I was like, yes, finally get to play like a real dog. I'd throw a few times and she'd be like, yay, throw it. And I threw it and she went to get it and she came back with it and was like, throw it twice. And then I'd throw it again and she'd just stare at me like, what on earth are you doing? And just looking like me, like I was being an idiot for playing with a stick. And she always made me feel so useless. I still love that dog though. But it was so funny how she would be in complete denial that she ever would have found that fun. It's funny with dogs how they have such unique personalities. I mean, all animals, obviously, but
yeah, I see quite a bit now that I've been working out at the vets. I've come to actually like cats more than dogs after working there this long, because dogs are kind of needy.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I kind of like the cat being like, yeah, you can pet me. If you don't, whatever.
And I guess, yeah, dogs tend to be more panicky when their owners aren't there.
Yeah, we have some that come in and I don't know if I'd say I don't like him. He just annoys me. He comes in boards all the time. He's usually fine, but as soon as you start walking animals, walking the dogs, he'll just bark nonstop, high pitch, and it just makes my ears explode. And then I'm just like, come on, man. And he comes in all the time. That's the worst part.
I have very sensitive hearing, and yet I chose to get 2 breeds of dogs that bark a lot. I don't know what I was thinking. But of course, I can't imagine life without them now.
Yeah, I only have a cat right now. I mean, my parents have a beagle, but he's kind of weird. I think he might have. He was supposed to be a hunting dog, but he's scared of guns and stuff.
Mm.
So the guy got rid of him, but we don't know, but we think he might have been beating him.
Oh.
Probably for not hunting, but now he's just a lazy couch dog. So, but he has separation anxiety when my parents are gone. My other dog story is maybe not that exciting, but it's memorable to me. A cop brought in his police dog, and it had, we believed it had a twisted stomach. I don't know if you know what that is. The stomach in a lot of larger dogs can twist, and when that happens, it can't untwist on its own. It has to have emergency surgery, or it'll die a slow, painful death.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
I've seen quite a few of them now. This one was memorable because the only sure way to tell is an X-ray. And they can see the stomach's twisted. Police dogs are trained not to be held down. So this thing wanted to rip my throat out.
Oh my gosh.
So we had to actually have the police officer come in to the X-ray with us to help hold the dog down so we could do the X-ray. It was twisted, so then we had to have the guy help us again because I had to get behind the dog and kind of like hug it a little bit and put, help get the catheter in with the doctor. And of course the dog was trying to kill me the whole time. Eventually it went to surgery and it recovered.
Oh wow.
That was the craziest trying to get an X-ray ever. I mean, some dogs will flip out, and cats even too.
No, I mean, my dogs can be really difficult, and they're pretty tiny, so I can only imagine a trained police dog.
Those are my two big dog stories anyways.
It's hard for me to pick dog stories since I've always grown up around dogs, and I've had 4 dogs of my own, and a lot of stuff happens. The one I'm very proud of, I don't know if it's a story exactly, but when I got my, not my current dogs, but the dog I had before that, Nale, he was very aggressive and very insecure, would get very defensive and stuff. And it was really hard, and many times after I got to him, I felt like, I can't handle this, and I'm not doing a good job of being an authority figure for him. How it worked out, and he got more and more confident and more secure, I guess. And that felt really good to see a dog that he would actually bite people, including me, to where it broke the skin when I first got him. In his last few years, he was just the most gentle, sweet dog I've ever known. He wouldn't bite anyone. He wouldn't harm anyone. He was so cuddly. I just think that was probably one of my best life achievements, to be able to see that change and be able to give him a life where he could feel its safety. I don't know if that counts as a story.
Nah, it was a very lovely story. I did think of another one, though.
Yeah?
My grandparents used to have this dog that liked to sleep behind tires.
Ooh.
And it was
That's
ran
not good.
over probably hundreds of times. Because they would sleep under the front or back tire, and then people would go to leave, and they'd back right up over it.
It must have broke its leg several times.
No.
It was unharmed each time?
It seemed to be. I mean, they never took it out
Wow.
to be seen or anything. They lived to be pretty old, too, you know. After, you know, so many times being run over, he started getting a little stiff and stuff. But I want to say it finally died by being ran over.
Oh.
I mean, that's pretty good for how many times it's been run over, but...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Clearly, it died doing what it loves, being run over.
I remember it bit me one time, too, but I think it was my fault.
I used to be very proud of the fact that no dog ever bit me, but then I got me, and he bit me several times.
I probably shouldn't say it because it'll probably happen now, but I've been out to the vets for 15, 16 years. Never been bit by a dog.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen tonight. Cats, on the other hand, have messed me up out there.
My best friend in childhood had this super violent cat, and she loved it so much. I was terrified of that cat because it would just flip out from out of nowhere. You'd just be sitting far away from it, all of a sudden it'd just run up to you, claw you in the face for no reason, and then run away. And it just freaked me out. I was always like on alert when I was visiting my friend. And I remember she always had scratch marks all over her body. Often when she'd come over, she looked like she had been abused because she had like blood running from her arms and stuff. But she was just so in love with that cat. I was like, she's my baby.
My cat used to do that, but to other people. Never me, just other people.
Well, we were very, very small, so she was kind of rough with it. And I'm guessing that might be part of the reason it was so aggressive. She also, my childhood dogs, she used to treat them as if they were cats too. So she just randomly picked them up, hold them in like a baby pose. And then when she was done, she just let them go. And they just fall on the floor flat because they weren't cats, so they couldn't like land on their feet. It took a while for her to learn how to do that.
I remember Jake was here one day. And out of nowhere, my cat just ran at him, jumped through the air, like at his face. And he put his arm up, and it just sunk his claws into Jake's arm really bad.
Ouch.
Of course, I was like flipping out, because I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Because, you know, he just usually lays on my lap and just purrs, but I'd never seen him do that before. And Jake's never been here since.
Oh.
He seems to be more mellow now that he's older. He used to attack my other friend Tim, but now if Tim comes over, he's just like, yeah, whatever.
Well, it's easy to forget they are wild underneath the domestication. They still have the instinct to hunt and kill stuff. Even though they probably won't, they'll still want to.
His instinct now is to sleep all the time.
Yeah, that's what my dog usually does too, the older one. My husband says the one dog's like him because it's always like moving around doing stuff, and the other dog's like me because it just lays on the sofa and eats stuff.
How about this one? I had a cat named Mr. Whiskers.
Aw.
Guess how old he lived to?
I don't know. I know cats can live pretty long.
He was 22.
Oh, wow.
I had him more than half my life.
That's amazing. It must have been really hard once he did die, though.
Yeah, we kind of knew it was coming. We found him in the basement, kind of just laying there, crying. So we made him a nice little bed, because I had just got home from work. I made him a nice little bed, put him in the bathroom, kind of hoping I would, go to bed and wake up and he would have just passed away. But when I woke up, he got out of the bathroom, he was back in the basement, still was alive, still crying. So I ended up taking him out and having him put to sleep.
It's so hard when you have to make that choice.
Yeah.
My childhood dog, she got to be 17. I had also had her around me all my life, and when I finally moved to my own place, she came with me too, because she was she was always with me. She slept in my bed, and she made sure that I went to bed in time even after I'd moved on my own. So she knew what time my mom thought I should go to bed, and so she'd bark at me if I was still up at the computer. And she got some kind of a stroke or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And she just started walking into walls, and it was really horrifying to see. But I knew that I couldn't let her keep feeling that way. I probably waited too long than I should have in the first place. But
yeah, you see that. I see that a lot. You know, dog's blind, deaf, doesn't walk at all. And people hold on to forever if they could.
Yeah.
We had to do that with our dog too. My childhood dog. You know, we held on for a while. He was peeing and pooping in the house. And we're just like, whatever, we'll clean it up. But then when he started not being able to get up and walk, we're like, okay, you know, now we're just being selfish.
Yeah.
Mr. Whiskers was a hard one, especially because it was my first cat. Because my sister used to get cats all the time, and they would die within 6 months to a year. They would run away. We'd find them dead outside. We wouldn't know why, and they were gonna get her another one. And I was like, I want one. So we got a brother and sister, Patches and Mr. Whiskers. Hers ran away in 2 months. Mine lived to be 22 years old.
Oh.
So I kind of pick on her sometimes. She's like, she used to call it her cat. I was like, if it was your cat, it wouldn't be here. And we went through some issues with him too. We got him fixed, and he ran away the next day. Oh. And, you know, I was devastated. And then I was at school, and one of my friends was talking about how a cat showed up at his house, black and white cat. And I was like, my cat just ran away. So we went over, and it was him.
Oh, awesome.
He was quite a ways away.
Yeah.
He stayed after that. He was indoor-outdoor cat too, because usually they don't live that long. They have a pretty low life expectancy.
There's so much that can happen with cars and everything.
Current ones indoors only. We probably should have ended on the sad cat stories, but...
Oh, no, we have to end on something happy.
What about not happy, but not bad, but kind of wacky?
That's okay.
So I was at work, and we don't anymore, I don't know what happened there, but we used to, do discount surgeries for a local shelter. You know, spaying and neutering. And there was one of the cats was there, you know, I believe it already had surgery. You know, I go to change the litter box, and it's purring and rubbing up against the kennel. There's no, you know, we have little cards and signs we put up, you know, caution, warning, or whichever, you know, animal will kill you type signs.
Yeah.
But there's none there. Cat's purring, think nothing of it. Open the door, cat turns, hisses, lunges at my face. So I duck, and it hits the kennel behind me. And now it's running around. Luckily, it was kind of a smaller area. But now I'm like, oh crap, you know, I gotta get this cat. So we have these, leather gloves. They're supposed to help protect you. But I can say they did not. The cat bit so hard it went through the gloves.
Ouch.
Probably protected me some, but I definitely felt his cat's teeth in me. Of course, you know, when it first happens, I freak out and let go. Of course, now I have to grab the cat again. So this time when it bit me and clawed into my arm, I just held on to it anyway. So I'm like, you gotta get back in the kennel. So I eventually got it back in the kennel after a little bit of a brawl.
And yet cats are your favorite animal.
Well, I don't think I would have been. A dog would have messed me up worse.
I suppose so.
The other one was not that long, I think it was last year. Someone brought in a cat that they found at their house, and they were deciding whether or not they were going to keep it because it was a stray. It turns out it was feral.
Oh.
Super mean. Maybe if you spend enough time with it, you could have worked with it, but most people don't want to bother with that. So we were keeping it for a while. I think we were discussing about fixing it and then just releasing it back on our property and just hoping for the best, you know.
Yeah.
They went to go to get it. I wasn't there, it was during the day, but they went to get it out of the kennel for the day they were going to fix it. It was a male cat, I believe. He escaped, ran up the kennel, and busted into the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at work. You know, we kind of have those drop ceilings with the tiles. So he got up in there. Where it was, there's what we call the dog room where the dogs stay. And then there's isolation, which is where the cat was. Since we didn't know any history on the cat and things like that. Is that a squeaky toy?
Oh, yeah, sorry. He's downstairs, too. That's very loud.
Those are actually linked in the ceiling way. So we went from the isolation and got over into the dog room ceiling. Couldn't get it. And it was a couple weeks before, I finally caught it. We had these traps set up because once in a while someone would come in the dog room and it'd be sitting on top of the kennel, but it would run back into the ceiling. And one day I saw it up there and it was hiding by this radio we have in there. And I was able to sneak up behind it and put a towel over it, but I hesitated to grab it. So it made it back into the ceiling at that point. So the next night I saw it down there again. There was like what it's called a have a heart trap. Basically, it'll spring and trap them, but it doesn't hurt them.
That's good.
That used to be in there, and for some reason they moved it out to the other room. But I put it back in there, and I caught it that night. And everyone was pretty excited about that because it had been in the ceiling for like a couple weeks. I mean, we were leaving food out and stuff, but it was I don't know if you know this, but unneutered male cat urine is really rank.
Oh, and I can imagine.
It was peeing in the ceiling, and all the tiles were turning color.
I was going to say, it's pretty cool to have a ceiling cat that just pops in and out, but I can understand why that would be a problem.
Once I caught it, they fixed it that day, and one of the doctors took it home with her and released it at her barn. I don't know if it stayed or not, but ceiling cat. I got a picture of it somewhere after I caught it.
That makes me think of a different story. I have one of when me and my friend found kittens in a tree. I have one where I got chased by a cow. Probably more dog stories.
I want to hear about the cow.
I went on a class trip, and actually my uncle used to have milking cows when I was growing up. I had gone up and petted them several times because they were tame, and there was one named after me, and I used to pet her a lot, and she'd like swallow my arm, and I think it was hilarious. So I was pretty used to cows, and I didn't think they were very threatening or anything. But then on a class trip, there was a field with some flowers in it, and I climbed over the fence to get in and was picking flowers, and then all of a sudden a little calf came up to me and was like looking at the flowers, and I started feeding it some grass and was having fun. And then all of a sudden I heard my classmates start screaming, and I looked behind me and there was this giant cow just doing like exactly like in those cartoons where it just stomps in the ground and like makes little clouds of dust as it's stomping. Then it just started charging at me, and I was so shocked because I never knew that cows could be that fast. As the ones I'd seen at my uncle's, they were just walking slowly. But I'm guessing since I was with her calf, I'm assuming, she was pretty mad. And I just started running, and I could feel it like just behind me the whole time. I somehow managed to get over the fence, like throw myself over the fence because it wasn't that far off, so I didn't get like impaled or anything. It was very frightening. And then it stood by the fence and just making grunting noises and turning its head aggressively at me.
I've never been chased by a female cow, but I did have a bull chase me down.
I didn't think a female cow would be scary, but that was probably one of the more scary animals encounters I've had, even though nothing happened. How did you get chased by a bull, though?
My great uncle has like beef cows, and he had a bull. My cousin and I got in the fence every time I go over to my cousin's house because his house is like just surrounded by fence. And it's oddly enough cousins on my mom's side, not even related to the great uncle. They just all live on the same road for some reason. So we got in there. I think we were trying to head to the pond. There's like a pond. We come up over the hill, and there's a bull just stayed in there. Same thing you were saying, stomped its feet. It let out this bull holler, I'll call it, which is really guttural, ear-piercing. And then it just came at me like full speed, and we just turned and ran. Of course, my uncle, great uncle, has a barbed wire fence. We're trying to get over that, and it's ripping our clothes, and we barely made it over.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds even more scary.
But then the bull just left. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, mine felt super dramatic, but of course, all my classmates were teasing me for like months after for being chased by a little girl cow.
It just reminds me of that video I've seen where the guy's being chased by a cow and he's freaking out and swearing and running.
I don't think I've seen that, but I understand them.
I mean, they're pretty big animals.
Yeah, and she was so mad.
I'm trying to remember if the bull had horns or not.
It depends on the age, right? I think. I don't know. I know female cows have horns too.
Yeah, it depends on the breed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't remember if beef cows have horns or not. If it did, that would probably make it a little scarier.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll leave you with those stories. Come up with something and another time to talk about.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. I hope you do more with me. I will mention, while cleaning the other day, I found envelopes full of stuff from my school, which could be interesting.
Yeah, that sounds like a great topic.
From kindergarten to 12th grade, my mom kept it all.
I have to warn you, my school experience wasn't too good.
I don't know if I want to talk about my school experience. I mean, I don't care. I mean, my school's... I fucking hated school. School was shit. People in it were shit. So I do have some stories there, but just reading some of these papers, I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah. I found some poems I made as a kid. They were terrible.
I'll mention one. One was a thing where I wrote like some sentences. This had to be elementary, and the teacher was going through, circling stuff I had wrong, but I still got 100 on it. And then I was looking at it, and I was like, a lot of this stuff is wrong, spelled wrong, punctuation's wrong, but she didn't circle any of that. I was spelling like what with a U, and I was like, why isn't this circled red? This whole sentence is wrong.
It's creative freedom.
Maybe. It's funny seeing the old report cards, too. There's a grade, but next to it's like a number, 1 through 4. It's like 1, you're doing great, and 4 needs major improvement. And like everything had a 4 next to it, and these little notes about how I was a terrible speller, reader, and writer. It's like, nice.
Wow.
I was like, that's true to today.
I didn't have grades in my school. I went to, we can talk more about that later. It was a weird school.
Next time.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in.